The town of Merrinford was quiet in the early hours of the day, the kind of quiet that made every sound feel larger than it was. The air carried a cool mist that floated above the cobblestones, softening the shape of everything. Lamps were still glowing along the narrow streets, though the sky was slowly turning pale with morning light. Clara stepped out of her small house by the corner and pulled her coat a little closer. She liked walking through Merrinford before most people woke up. The bakery would begin warming its ovens. The post office would unlock its heavy wooden door. The fountain at the center square would whisper its steady trickle. Mornings here had their own rhythm, and she enjoyed being a quiet part of it. She began walking toward the square, her shoes tapping lightly on the stones. She carried a small envelope in her hand, held gently, as if too much pressure might change the meaning of the words inside. It was a letter she had written weeks ago, addressed to someone she had not seen for a long time. Every morning she walked to the post office, hoping there might be an answer waiting for her, and every morning there was nothing. Still, she liked the ritual. Something about it made her days feel connected, like invisible threads running through them. As Clara reached the square, she noticed the fountain water reflecting the faint orange of the rising sun. She paused there for a moment. The air smelled faintly of wet stone and fresh bread drifting from the bakery nearby. A few birds were awake, hopping along the edge of the fountain, shaking droplets from their wings. She took a slow breath, then continued toward the post office. The building was old, with thick walls and a tall window above the entrance. When Clara pushed the door open, the familiar warm scent of paper and dust greeted her. Mr. Harvin, the postmaster, stood behind the counter, wearing the same deep blue sweater he always wore. "You're early," he said, his voice calm and slow. "I like the quiet," Clara answered. Mr. Harvin nodded. "No new mail for you today," he added gently, knowing why she had come. Clara smiled, though the corners of her mouth shifted only a little. "Thank you," she said, not surprised, but not disappointed either. She didn't expect the letter to arrive quickly. She didn't even know if it would arrive at all. She walked out again, but instead of going home, she followed the path toward the river. The River Alden moved lazily through Merrinford, as if it too preferred to take its time. Morning fog hovered just above the surface, and tall reeds lined the water's edge, swaying in small movements that matched the soft current. Clara leaned on the railing of the old wooden bridge. She ran her thumb along the sealed envelope she still held. She had written it one late evening when the wind rattled her windows, and the quiet inside her home felt heavier than usual. The words in the letter were simple, but they carried something she had waited years to say. She looked at the river now and thought about how strange it was, waiting for something that might never come, yet still feeling hopeful every morning. The town was calm, peaceful, slow. Perhaps this was why the waiting didn't hurt as much here. After a while, footsteps approached from behind her. Clara turned and saw Finn, a painter who often set up his easel by the river. He always carried a small canvas under his arm, though he rarely showed anyone what he was working on. "Out early again?" Finn asked, stopping beside her. "It's quiet," Clara said. "I like it." Finn glanced at the envelope in her hand, then nodded without asking anything. Merrinford was a town where people noticed things, but they didn't push. Silence was comfortable here. They stood on the bridge for a few moments, watching the light on the water brighten little by little. Finn eventually lifted his canvas and tucked it under his arm again. "I'll be upriver," he said. "The fog looks good today." "Have a peaceful morning," Clara replied. He walked away, and Clara remained for a while longer. The sound of the river soothed her, and she felt the gentle weight of the day settling around her shoulders. When she finally made her way back toward town, more people were beginning to appear on the streets. Shop owners lifted metal shutters. Children hurried with their bags. A woman opened her flower stall, arranging soft pink roses in neat rows. Clara liked watching these tiny movements of the world waking up. Near the bakery, she stopped to buy a small loaf of warm bread. The baker, Mrs. Wynne, smiled at her, with flour still dusting her hands. "Still waiting?" she asked gently. "Yes," Clara said. "Still waiting." "It will come when it comes," Mrs. Wynne responded, her tone as soft as the rising dough behind her. Clara stepped outside with the warm loaf wrapped in paper. She held it close, letting the heat spread to her fingers. She looked up at the sky, now brighter, almost white at the edges. Walking home, she wondered for the first time whether the letter she had been waiting for mattered as much as the quiet mornings she spent looking for it. Perhaps the waiting itself had become part of her life, as comforting as the river, the bakery, the square, and the soft mist that hung above Merrinford. She reached her door, paused, and looked once more at the unopened envelope in her hand, the one she had written but never sent. She smiled slightly. "Some letters stay with you," she thought. "Some letters don't need to travel far." She placed it gently on her small wooden table inside her home. The morning light touched its surface through the window, making the paper glow softly. Clara sat by the window with her warm bread and watched the mist lift from the streets. And in that quiet moment, she realized that the letter she had been expecting might arrive one day, or it might not. But the mornings would still come, gentle as always, offering their quiet rhythm. And for now, that was enough.